Sláinte, early risers. I'm on my 4th cup of coffee this morning. How about you? It's just one of those days, JQ. Sometimes it doesn't matter how much sleep you get. You just need to put away the caffeinated beverages.
Oh, love it.
Hey, welcome to the show, Vanessa.
Hi, good morning.
You filling up your cup too?
Of tea.
Oh.
I don't
What
have
kind of
sports
tea?
coffee.
This is not sports coffee.
Her cup runneth half full.
Sports coffee has a little spirits in it.
That's not till Friday.
Alcoholic beverage, yeah. Well, I would never do that at work. Sports coffee's for home. Home use only. Good morning, guys.
Is that to like kick off your day if you're going to an event?
Jimmy, your mic's off, by the way. Thanks, Director Craig. He's always on such things. And your IFB's on your shoulder. It's not in your ear because he was trying to talk to you before. Jimmy, your underwear
is on backwards. It's, hold on 1 second here.
When would you drink sports coffee? Like if you're going to an event?
Story time. I guess we could do story time right away. This really isn't much of a story. This is going to be over really fast. I like to let the music play out. Not big on alcohol mixed with coffee, which is strange because I enjoy both of them independently, but I'm like the kid that doesn't want the ketchup mixed in with the stuff on the rest of his plate. There was a St. Patrick's Day many, many moons ago where we started at dawn with a big Irish breakfast and a couple adult beverages. And I had a little hot toddy action, a little coffee mixed with some whiskey or something, and it was awful. I hated it. I didn't enjoy the whiskey and I didn't enjoy the coffee. And I think that's the last time I've ever put booze in like a caffeinated beverage.
Well, I hear most people putting like Baileys, right?
Oh, yeah.
But Bailey's is a liqueur, right?
It works. It works.
I digress. This is not the topic of today's show.
But real quick on that.
Yeah, please.
And when I was in New England, I used to put a little coffee brandy. Some coffee brandy.
Coffee brandy?
Yeah, coffee brandy.
What the heck is that?
Yeah, it's put you on your coffee in the morning.
You just want to talk with that accent.
It's not bad.
Love
It's
it.
good. How about them Patriots? How about that Tommy B?
Dude, the comment section is already blowing up.
Hey,
Shout out to
what are we
everybody
talking about
watching
today?
on Facebook Live right now. We're talking about a topic that we didn't have enough time in the show today to spend on. You shouldn't end a conversation with a preposition. The topic is courtesy Ayesha Curry, the renowned celebrity chef, also the wife of Steph Curry, the Golden State Warriors star. Basically, she says that the secret to their strong relationship is always putting the partner first, regardless of the kids. Always make your husband or wife the priority, and the kids come second. There are some people who absolutely detest this line of logic because, I mean, they're kids after all. And they need more attention and care than a full-grown human being. We want to know what you think.
Well, Dell is on that note there. He said if you don't want to put your kids first and don't have any, nobody would come before mine.
There you go. And I imagine it's even tougher for Ayesha and Steph because he travels so much. And in turn, she travels so much. And so, like, to find that quality time is tough. Like, it has to be a consternated effort. What about you?
Put the spouse first. Kids are along for the ride. Bottom line. And I think parents that are too into their kids are pretty creepy, if you ask me. And I know a bunch of them.
Your opinions.
I've raised. No, it's a fact.
He's gonna get yelled at now.
And I think if you put your spouse first and you love your spouse, then you're setting an amazing example for the kids and how it should work and how it should be. You take care of them, you love them, but you have to love each other because you work together as a bond and you're a united front. When the kids see this, it sets the example and it works. And those are the relationships I've seen that last way beyond the kids are the ones that the parents put themselves first.
We had a whole bunch of loyal viewers text in about this today, and two of them made points that were very congruent with your argument. One of them said that I watched my parents who had a relationship like the one Ayesha describes and said that they set an example for what an adult relationship should be, and I am so thankful that they went out of their way to do that for me as a kid. And then there was another person that texted and took a different angle but basically agreed with Jimmy's point, and that was that kids are basically renting. They're just hanging out at your house until they're old enough to move out, but you are with your partner for life, before the children, during the children, and after the children. So if that bond is not strong, then like Jimmy said, you might end up divorced by the time the kids roll out of the house.
I agree with that. I've had friends that are, now we're older, and so some of them are thinking about divorce because they got married when they were too young. And they were like, but we want to stay together for the kids. And I'm like, no, because the kids are going to know that that's the only reason why you guys are together.
Yeah, what the heck did you get married for in the first place? They can feel it in the house,
and then that's not a good upbringing for them either. But like Mimi says, a healthy couple makes for a healthy family.
Yes, absolutely.
This is really interesting because the people that weighed in during Today in AZ from 4:30 to 7 on Channel 12 almost all of them agreed with putting the spouse first. Almost everybody. I think everybody but one that texted in said that. But here in the comment section on Facebook, it's just the opposite. Almost everyone here is talking about putting the children first. And I'm not saying that anyone is right or wrong. I don't have kids. I don't have a spouse. But I would like to hear your opinions. So get into the nitty-gritty here in the comment section. Tell us why you think this. Michael says to even think this is putting yourself first is wrong. Susan agrees, though. She says she's been saying this for years. And so does Rosanna, says the foundation of a strong family. Katie wants to know when Ayesha Curry became
that
a
was
celebrity.
funny.
Well, I think it maybe started a couple of years ago when Golden State was in the finals and little Riley, their daughter, kind of became like a national sports baby. And then that kind of put Ayesha a little more in the spotlight in her endeavors. I love that, by the way. This is the feminist in me coming out, but I love that we recognized her as a celebrity chef first and not the wife of Steph Curry first.
Yeah, that's good.
Because she has her own stuff. She's got big things cooking right now, and that's cool that we recognize that first. So bravo to the producers that put that in the prompter. Way to go. All right, what else are the people saying?
We have lots of different people weighing in.
Oh, it's blowing up here. Got 117
Victor
people.
said your kids leave to college, move out after 18 years. Your spouse stays with you.
Exactly.
Way after that. So that's true. That we were talking about that earlier.
I think it's like it's a simpatico relationship, right? There's synergy. So if we're together and everything is good in our lives, that kind of bleeds into the lives of the children who are intertwined. Like, especially young kids, I feel like they don't really have any decision-making power. Like, all the decisions come from on high, and they sort of have to deal with the consequences since they're the ones being raised and taught how this crazy world works. And so, like, if you're making decisions based upon the wants and needs of a 6-year-old who maybe doesn't understand the reasons behind why we do the things we do, then you're defeating the purpose of raising them in the first place because you're not setting that strong example. And I think that starts with the relationship between,
absolutely,
you and your partner.
Yeah, and there are parents that they let the kids make these decisions, and they shouldn't, because when the kid gets in the real world, he freaks out, he or she, because they can't make decisions anymore because their boss is making the decisions, and you have to learn how to fall into that certain order or to work with other people, and it's not all about you. But, back to that thing, I have personal friends that they kind of creep me out. Like, you go to their house, and it's the whole conversation's their kids. Like, it's almost like they're not even together anymore, the husband and wife. They're married, but it's, he's in this, and then we're going to that charter school, and then we're going to move him up, and he tested there. Now, this one's in karate, and we have him on the level 7. I'm like, stop already. What about you guys?
Do you think that people, I'm just asking here, do you think that people lose sight of themselves and their identity when they bring kids into the world?
I think a lot of them try to make up for their past failures by raising this prodigy and trying to live their lives, their failed lives, or maybe not failed, but maybe things they didn't accomplish through their children, whether it be sports or academics.
That does manifest
this is
itself
going to
a
be
lot
the
in
perfect
sports,
kid.
especially. You see that with the on-hand sports parents that are a little like too into it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
The ones that are at every event, which is great parenting. I'm not knocking that, but the ones that like want to tell.
I've seen it academically as well.
Yeah.
I mean, both sides have been just as strong, and I'm like, well, back off. Let your kids live their life, and you guys live yours.
It's just so hard. My cousins, they have one set, actually, in particular, they have 3 kids, 3 boys, and they're all in soccer, and they're on all these events, and literally their whole weekend is going to these tournaments and events and practice and this, and your whole life is literally just taking them to their practices and their games. And I'm like, that's wild. Like, what else do you guys do besides
I know the same couple,
just the sport?
and guess what? As soon as soccer ended and the kids went to college, things did not end up very well. They had nothing to do. They didn't know who the heck they were. They grew apart because they were so engulfed with these kids. And then the kids boycotted. They're like, I don't want to do sports. I'm sick of this. You guys have been putting all these activities down our throat. We want to be. They just took off. I mean, they just love each other,
right.
but it was tough because you marry your best friend. That's the way I look at it, and that's what you're hanging out with your best friend. And by the way, we have these kids. We're going to raise them. We're going to take care of them. But it's about my best friend.
I think there's no silver bullet here. There's not some child rearing theory that's going to change the world. There's not one relationship theory that's going to work for every relationship, which is why it's great to hear your opinions about this, because that's all they are, is opinions. We're all just doing our best. But it is a curious concept, because I remember as a kid, some of the best moments that I ever witnessed in my parents' relationship were when they actually took the time to spend quality time together. And it didn't happen very often, but sometimes I'd come downstairs late at night and they'd be playing backgammon together. You'd hear the dice rolling. And that was just like them spending the few quiet moments they had doing something that they both enjoyed. Or I remember even when I was like 16 and I had my driver's license, my mom and dad would go out and get drinks together, and I'd be their DD. I'd take them to the bar and I'd pick them up afterwards. They'd buy me Taco Bell for my trouble. It was a hell of a deal.
That's awesome. It's a good memory.
My parents are divorced now, and things are not what they were in those times. But I remember back then that's what stood out to me about their relationship, or the little ways that they found to spend quality time together.
Yeah, we had Friday nights.
A good example.
Mom and Dad would go out Friday night alone. Once in a blue moon, they'd take us, but it was their dinner night. And when they brought us, we'd go to a place called the Royal Fork, which was like a total buffet. It was awesome. I'd get the little orange drink. I like that. And they all eat chicken. But that was a Royal Fork night. And then they'd go to Trombino's. That was their high-scale Italian. They would go by themselves. They'd get me some McDonald's. And that was awesome. And then Sunday nights, they'd always take off. They'd go for pie. They'd go to Village Inn and they'd get pie and coffee. It was
living
just
a good
them.
life.
Yeah. I'm trying to recall as you guys are sharing your stories.
Yeah.
I don't think my parents had a lot of little date nights for themselves. Like it was always my dad was working all the time, my mom was working, and then we had my things, and then we had family time, and by then, like you run out of time, you know.
Yeah.
But they still stayed together after I moved out anyway, so they were fine. You know,
Yeah.
they managed after the fact when I moved out of the house. But yeah, that you definitely need to make time. And like Matthew said, my son comes first, but my wife is what makes me happiest.
That's why you get married. You got married to be with your best friend. And you have kids as a wonderful result of that, but in the end, that's what you got married to be with them.
Couple shout outs to get to here. Peggy says you guys are a hoot. Love this show. Hey, we love you too, Peggy. Thanks for popping by and saying hi. Shout out to Janice. She said, my mom was quite independent, had a healthy, loving 72-year marriage.
Wow.
72
That's
years.
That's a long time.
That is so cool.
I'll take advice from them.
Yeah. No kidding.
I'll take advice from them.
You ever been around a couple that's been married for 60, 70 years? I had the opportunity to do an interview with a couple that was just celebrating their 70th wedding anniversary, and they are a hoot to be around.
Yeah.
I got a story.
Please, story time. Bring the graphic
I got
back.
a story.
Run it back.
And Paul's going to love it. It's on my travels, of course. And we were in...
yes, the European traveler that you are.
We were out in Europe, and we were at this cafe. This is in Italy. It was great, and I ran into this couple. He was 88 years old, and she was 80, 82, or 83. Mm-hmm. And they were healthy as can be. And I asked them what the secret of a long marriage was, and they said it was just to be each other's best friend. And they're still together. It wasn't about, I'm sure they had wonderful kids. They told us about their kids, but their whole life was about them being together. And I think that's what's important. So,
it's funny when you think about an institution like marriage that is designed to be long-term, when most of the problems that arise in our life are very short-term problems. There are so few things that are really going to matter in a day or a week or a month or a year, but your relationship with that partner, that person that you're stuck with, for better or for worse, come hell or high water, is one of those long-term things. And I think we're so used to prioritizing the day-to-day problems that it's really easy to just let those long-term things sit on the back burner until they become a more imminent problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It takes a really smart and strong person to nurture a long-term relationship, I think.
I was reading a relationship book not that long ago, and they said the best thing to do is for both of you to put 100% in each other. So let's say you have a significant other, you give her 100% and she gives you 100%, and neither of you are ever going to miss out. Like, instead of people are like, I give you 50%, you don't give me enough. Like, if you both put in 100 to each other, you're both going to feel fulfilled and everything's going to be great. Now, once you put kids in there, I don't know how that works, but that's what they say the key to a great relationship is. This is a great discussion, and I want to get back to it in a minute. But first, I got to have a laugh at the expense of my co-anchor, Emma Jade. She is a delight of a human being. Yeah. This morning on Today in AZ, she had to read a script about the Wienermobile, and it ended in nothing but laughs. It's Today's in case you missed it.
But now, get your chance to drive a hot dog on wheels.
Can we add that to the poll?
Need I say more? Oscar Mayer is searching for their next Wienermobile driver. These drivers are also called hot doggers.
Of course they are.
But who needs them, though? Because with self-driving cars, I'm sure you can get a self-driving wiener. Their job is to drive the Wienermobile from coast to coast while representing the company through media interview and charity functions. It's a one-year position with the company, and it started this June. The deadline is to apply.
Wait, how much does it pay? Or did I miss that part?
It didn't tell. It doesn't say, because it just wants someone who genuinely wants the job, not the cash.
Yes.
Vanessa.
Life isn't just about money, Vanessa. Life is about taking control of a giant wiener and driving it around the country.
Amen.
But does it include all you can eat? Oscar Mayer wieners.
What?
You know?
Is that really an incentive for you?
No, well, it should have been disclosed. And that's something that I'm going to bring up with our producers because that needed to be in the
Joey
story.
Chestnut raises his hand.
Yeah, he's like, I'll take the job and win at the same time.
I think he is just a giant Oscar Mayer wiener, Joey Chestnut, at this point.
At this point. You are what you eat.
That whole little segment could have went wrong in so many different ways,
She
not with just
almost
Emma.
made it through without laughing. She came so close and then just lost it at the very end.
But we kept it. We did well.
I thought that was decent TV.
Yeah, it was good TV.
We got through it.
That was fun.
So if you want to drive the Wienermobile, I think we posted details on the website. I don't know what it pays.
Did he
though,
figure
to
out how
answer
much
your
it paid
question.
yet? And if you get unlimited hot dogs?
No, but you probably get unlimited selfies with everybody that sees you driving around town. Can you imagine bringing that thing into the work garage?
Oh, it's been around here before. Oh, and they give you little whistles. Woo, with the little Wienermobile.
I'm going to leave that where it lies. Back to the discussion real quick, in case you're just joining the Today in AZ After Show. Celebrity chef Ayesha Curry, also the wife of Steph Curry, Golden State Warriors star, says that the key to a strong relationship is putting your partner first always, even if that means putting the kids second. We want to know what you think about this. You guys have been great in the comment section so far. Go ahead. What do you got?
Michelle said, absolutely. The best gift to give your kids is a strong, beautiful, supportive marriage. My husband and I are better friends after 3.5 years of marriage and raised 4 kids. She said she read a book called The Price of Privilege, great studying, warning parents of the cost of being helicopter parents and child-centered. Keep dating your spouse. We are loving being empty nesters now.
Amanda says, I agree. You can't put your kids first because if you aren't strong and solid in your relationship with your spouse, then you can't have a secure relationship at home, and that affects kids and family life. And Joni weighs in and agrees, says, your spouse is there before the kids, will be there after they're gone. The kids get their attention and demand it, of course, because it takes a lot to raise a child, but your spouse needs to know that he or she is important too, and that's the order it makes for a happy life. I think it's a very adult thing to put our own feelings on the back burner, because we're adults and we can handle it. And well, I'm not getting the attention I deserve, but I'll get it down the line. I'm not getting the love that I need. I'm not getting the fulfillment I need, but it'll get better. It used to be better. The kids are the priority. And you put it off for so long, and then eventually that dam just breaks. You know what I mean? And I think that leads to a lot of issues in a marriage that maybe otherwise wouldn't exist.
No, I agree.
You wake up,
yeah.
and one day you're like, we don't know each other.
Yeah.
The only thing we have in common is PTA, soccer practice, and in our charter school, whatever, you know.
I mean, we're always changing, right? Like, we're not the same person we were yesterday, let alone when you married that person. And so if you're not growing together and you're not keeping that, like, this like congruent yet separate like growth path, you know, a priority, then you're right. You end up over here and she ends up over here, and the only thing between you are the lives that you were raising, you know?
Yep.
Oh, how are you still single? Look at you.
Well, no, like I'm a thinker, right? So like I love the philosophy of a long-term relationship or raising children. Like, just because I don't have experience doesn't mean that like I'm not in tune with like what sort of sacrifice
He's
that
a
would take.
softie, folks, really. Seriously. Hard on the outside, real soft.
No, I'm soft on the outside too.
He's like a Twix. He's like a Twix.
Get out of here.
Holy cow.
I just got my belly poked on internet television.
By the way, my wife just told me that she loves my belly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on. What? Why don't you lead with this?
Well, I just lost a bunch of weight for the wedding, and now I've been putting it back since the
okay.
holidays. And she's like, I love your belly. I'm like, well, I don't. But I love the fact that she loves my belly.
Oh
Well,
my
of course, she
gosh.
loves everything about you.
And if we have kids, they're coming second. That's the way it is.
The people in the comments are talking about Leticia Castillo, so we got to give her some love here. The parents are the root of the family. The children grow up and move on. We love them, nurture them, and this makes them strong enough to do the same in their families. The hope is to continue this cycle of love. If you neglect your spouse and focus solely on the children, a breakdown begins at the roots, and all will suffer consequences.
Yeah.
I like that. And thanks for everybody in the comment section
Yeah,
showing love to
lots of great
Leticia and
stuff.
showing love to each other. Even if we can't all agree about the topic, it's important to have this discourse, and I am thankful to share it with you people at home. Thank you so much for stopping by the Today in AZ After Show. We got to wrap things up because we have a cut-in to do on live television in just a few minutes. But we do this show at 7:30 every morning, so if this is your first time, I hope it's not your last time. We'll see you tomorrow.
Happy Taco Tuesday.
Bye-bye.
Woo.